On today's episode of Andy Ari on 3, DJ Lagway announces that he is transferring from Florida. The guy who was supposed to be the next Florida legend, and he wanted to be the next Florida legend, is moving on. Florida, with a new coaching staff, will have a new QB1. We'll talk about this very unique to 2025 story. Plus, it's a pick show. We got to pick the first round college football playoff games. Huge games. Alabama at Oklahoma, Miami at Texas A&M, Tulane at Ole Miss, and James Madison at Oregon. We got the picks against the spread thanks to our partner, BetMGM. So let's pick some games on today's Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. We are presented by BetMGM. We use BetMGM lines and totals, and you can join us by joining BetMGM. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB, as in college football, CFB, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how that works. Download the BetMGM app and sign on using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 to place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you're signing up. So download the app, deposit at least $10, place your first wager, up to $1,500 if your first bet loses. Use the bonus code CFB when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Now, you're probably wondering why we're not talking very much about Dylan Raiola. That is because we'd already started recording this show when the Dylan Raiola leaving Nebraska news struck. So we did a live emergency show talking Dylan Raiola. So if you want to hear in-depth conversation about what Dylan Raiola does next, what Nebraska does next, we've got that show on the On3 Sports YouTube page, and it's also in your podcast feed. We figured let's not add on to this conversation any more than we already have, because we figure there's a lot of you that want to have a full DJ Lagway conversation, because that's also a huge deal. So we've got the DJ Lagway conversation in this show. And then if you want the Dylan Raiola more in-depth analysis, check out that other show on the On3 Sports YouTube channel. Also in your podcast feed, whether that's Apple Podcasts, whether that's Spotify, whether that's the iHeart app, you name it, we're there too. So we got you covered in case your quarterback hits the portal, which at this point, it may be everybody's quarterback. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. And this is going to be one of those weeks where, even though there are college football playoff games, Ari, the news is not going to stop. Florida quarterback DJ Lagway, once the hope of the program, the guy that they kept Billy Napier to keep, he's entering the transfer portal.
Andy, he's also the guy who has represented you and I both having a complete alliance in the worst dog shit take of all time. So, that's correct. Yeah, both of us have taken turns at times having really strong takes that turned out to be wrong, but we were in complete agreement that he was going to be the best quarterback in college football this last year, and that certainly didn't play out. Now, that said, I still think that he's going to be an incredibly valuable asset in the transfer portal, and someone's going to pay a lot of money, and I think that maybe somebody might gamble their job on him.
Listen, DJ Lagway, this is the same reason that we had that terrible take. because DJ Lagway can make throws that 90% of quarterbacks cannot make. And so some coach is going to go, whatever the issue was at Florida, I can fix it. Now, here's the thing. I think it's possible that the right coach can. Maybe it's just be that Billy Napier wasn't the guy.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've been thinking about this since the news broke. It's that, what was Billy Napier's number one problem at Florida?
Predictable, bad offensive play calling.
And then on top of that, not being willing to allow any change in that regard.
Correct.
So if that's the number one thing, then is there a possibility that DJ Lagway's development was stunted by their offensive inability to innovate or do anything different or even change? And that might not be the case. There were certain times where he was inaccurate, right? Inaccuracy is inaccuracy. And there were certain times where he turned the ball over quite a bit. And being turnover prone sometimes is being turnover prone. But I wonder if he got into the right system with the right coach, if they could unlock something that we know is underneath there, or if we just misread the whole situation completely with him.
Well, it's going to be very interesting because, listen, John Summerall is the new coach at Florida. Buster Faulkner's the new offensive coordinator. From talking to people, it seems fairly clear that they were not all in on DJ Lagway as the QB1. Okay. This is a two-way street. Don't assume that they came in and Lagway was like, well, I want this and I want this and I'm out of here if not. That's not what happened. Lagway wanted to be Florida's starting quarterback and wanted to keep the deal he had and everything. I'm not sure how much the new administration wanted him to be Florida's starting quarterback.
Well, also, and I don't know, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in order to make the decision or get to a place where you are not all in on DJ Lagway as your quarterback, that means that you're willing to step into relative unknown and say whatever's behind door B is going to be better than for us than DJ Lagway, which I think is a pretty scary choice to make.
It's not a complete unknown. Not a complete unknown. Because Tramel Jones Jr., the freshman quarterback at Florida, who was backing up DJ Lagway this year, who took most of the reps with the ones while Lagway was recuperating from various injuries in the offseason, is staying. So he may be the guy. They may bring in another guy. We don't know. Are they going to go get a high profile? Would they go after a Sam Levitt? Or could Buster Faulkner bring somebody he's worked with before? At the moment, Aaron Philo is the heir apparent to Haynes King at Georgia Tech. But would Aaron Philo potentially follow Buster Faulkner? Because if you brought Aaron Philo, I think you're having a competition between Tramel Jones and Aaron Philo.
Well, did somebody tell
you? If you got Sam Levitt, there's no competition. Sam Levitt would be the starting quarterback.
I'm sure you're aware, is Tramel Jones part of the plan or is that the backup plan?
I think he's part of the plan.
Okay. Because if he's part of the plan, that changes the calculus a little bit. Also, as we started recording the show, Andy, I don't know if you saw this, but Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati has now plans to enter the portal. And this is just the beginning of quarterback duck, duck, goose. And behind door B, even if they're not 100% certain of what that person is, it's going to be a plentiful group of guys, I think, because we know Sam Levitt's going to be there, right? We know Sorsby's in there now, and we know there's going to be a lot more dominoes that fall. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm also very curious about Lagway himself and where he ends up and whether, he's going to be somebody that a coach sees as the guy who saves his program, his job. And I see some early schools to watch there on the graphic, Andy.
Yeah, Pete Nakos has already got a story, of course, because Pete has never stopped working. LSU, Baylor, Miami as potential landing spots for DJ Lagway. I know Pete and I had talked about maybe Texas Tech, but with Sorsby entering the transfer portal, he seems pretty perfect for that offense at Texas Tech. So if Sorsby is leaving and going to another school, he already looks good in those colors too. But DJ Lagway with Lane Kiffin at LSU, can you imagine?
I'm actually
a coach out there who can fix the accuracy part, who can help him make better decisions, or maybe just call plays in a way that's easier for him. Well, Lane Kiffin could be that guy, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it's funny because you can like keep coming up with like ways to fantasize. Like, are you telling me that the one number or graphic there at the bottom of that, the logo on the bottom of that graphic isn't something that percolates you a little bit? Like,
Talking about the U?
Yeah, I'm talking about the U in-state rival.
Shannon Dawson's done a really good job with transfer quarterbacks so far. Cam Ward, Carson Beck. Could DJ be the next one?
Yeah. But just like the in-state connection to that too. Because like I think
he's from
Miami,
Texas. It doesn't really matter.
I think that it would matter when you have a bunch of Miami fans.
I mean, the Florida fans would be mad. They don't play Miami, so they'd be mad if he went to Miami and was good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And also the press puts all the Miami fans in that have spent the last year making fun of him.
You know the crazy part of this? LSU's on that list too. Florida doesn't play LSU next year.
I hope
after so many years of playing LSU every year, they don't play LSU next year. So it wouldn't even happen.
Yeah, but do you have any intel on whether he's interested in returning back home?
Well, Baylor was a school that recruited him very hard coming out of high school. So that would be one that I think would be one to watch. But you look, if Lane Kiffin wants you at LSU, I think you go to LSU, right?
Yeah, I mean,
is that
it's
even
funny
a question?
Because like before DJ didn't had a rough year and he was still the apple of everyone's eye. There was a lot of jokes about how he was going to be A&M's quarterback this year. If like Napier would have gotten fired last year. And now A&M has a quarterback that I believe is Marcel Reed is going to be returning next year, right? So they don't even have an opening for him at A&M, and A&M's closest to where he grew up in terms of like power jobs. So
Marcel Reed's the A&M quarterback.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And it'll be really interesting too once you have full context of who's all in there. Because as we start doing, rankings and hot boards of who the best available is, like I'm very curious where DJ Lagway is going to stack up. Do you think?
Well, let me ask you this: since we have two who said it today, given what we saw this year, you're a GM or you're an offensive coordinator who needs a starting quarterback. Do you want DJ Lagway or Brendan Sorsby?
I'm mentally ill with this stuff. I can't handle
because Brendan Sorsby wasn't a 5-star, so you can't possibly imagine that he'd be as good, but his numbers are better.
But you also, Sorsby was better last year. There's
much better.
There's no question. It's not the 5-star thing, Andy. It's the throws that I've seen him make. It's very.
I agree.
I can't yeah. And I also feel like if last year was semi-dysfunctional, like he only deserves half of the blame.
Well, and that is, I think, the biggest question with DJ Lagway is how much of this is on Billy Napier and how much of this is on DJ Lagway? And we're not going to get an answer to that until we see him playing for somebody else. So, like this example here with these three schools in the logos that we see next to DJ Lagway on the screen. So Baylor, LSU, Miami. Baylor, their offensive coordinator is Jake Spavital. He has resurrected quite a few QBs' careers over the years. He runs an offense that is very quarterback friendly. You can put up huge numbers in that offense as a talented quarterback. Lane Kiffin, his body of work speaks for itself. Shannon Dawson has taken on 2 transfer quarterbacks the last 2 years. One of them was the number 1 pick in the draft last year. Carson Beck has his team in the playoff. We're going to be picking Miami's game against Texas A&M later in the show. So if he winds up in one of these 3 places, we'll have a good idea after we see him play whether this was Billy Napier's fault or DJ Lagway's fault.
Maybe even as soon as like the opener.
Now, Ari, you know how you get after one game. Like you gotta. We haven't broken you of that yet.
I mean,
you're looking for somebody for Heisman after one game.
Andy, you know that's something that's going to need medication. That's not something that you're going to like shame me out of. I am also kind of amused to think that like after all the Lane Kiffin drama and where he was going to go and where he ended up, like I'm amused at the thought of like,
could he end up coaching DJ Lagway anyway?
Welcome to the Lane Kiffin era with DJ Lagway at quarterback.
Well, and that's one of the interesting things is in reporting on the Florida coaching search, it did seem that if Kiffin because there was that period where Kiffin and Florida were very hot and heavy into each other. It did seem that Kiffin was down for Lagway staying.
Yeah. What I do know is that somebody is going to gamble 7 figures on a roulette spin on this guy, and it's going to be great to watch.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna be expensive because there are going to be multiple suitors, and because somebody's going to throw the Florida LSU 2024 or Florida Ole Miss 2024 tape on and go, you can have this. You might not get this every game, but you can have this at some point.
Andy, I wanted to ask you this. How much do you think his injury history plays into account what his market value is?
I think it's an interesting question because it goes back to high school. Like, one of the reasons he was a little bit later, kind of later blooming recruit and high riser as a senior was because that was his healthiest high school season. And then you had the situation in this past offseason where he really couldn't throw very much. And so if his arm's healthy and he has a full offseason where he can learn his new offense, get comfortable with his new receivers, again, we could find out that it wasn't entirely his fault, that there were other issues. So it's a fascinating thing because, like you called it a roulette spin, and that's really what it is. Because if you hit, oh my God.
There's a few extra green spots on this roulette wheel, though, because you could land on green with some injury stuff, and it might not even be because he can't perform. Do you play fantasy football, Andy?
I don't, but my son has like 4 teams, so I am very much apprised of what's going on in the fantasy football world.
I have 4 leagues, and have been playing it like most people listen to the show for years. And there are certain people that like I love and will never draft because I'm terrified of drafting them. Like Christian McCaffrey's one, where it's like you have to pay $70 in an auction.
Don't you always draft Kyle Pitts and are always disappointed until last Thursday night?
Walter White voice, you're goddamn right. And I was in the playoffs this week, and Kyle Pitts was my tight end in 2 leagues, and he set, I think, a points record in fantasy football for the most tight end points in like 20 years. Like, I don't know if you know that. Like, even more than any Kelsey game or any.
No, it was a historic game.
Did you watch
3 touchdown catches, I think, over 150 yards. Like, I don't know that a tight end had a game like that since Tony Gonzalez or somebody.
Did you watch
a long
the game?
Time ago. I did. I watched the whole game.
Can I use profanity?
You have already, so you may as well.
I'm not going to. But what the hell, man? Like, honestly, like, what the hell? Like, can you understand?
He's going to be a great Kansas City Chief next year.
That is the personification of the DJ Lagway discussion for me, which is, did you see that? You want me to let go of that human? I draft him every year. You want me to let go?
Well, you
of
also kind of got it in the Texas game.
What?
You also kind of got it this year in the Texas game with DJ Lagway.
I know.
Didn't you?
It's kind of hard to let go when you see of something like that. To me, it's like, well, I don't know what went wrong. Like, I tweeted about it on Thursday night when he was playing, and all the Falcons fans are like, he doesn't try hard, he doesn't give a lot of effort, he doesn't have the desire to play it. And I don't know. I'm not a Falcons fan. I don't watch him every week, but like, he looked like somebody who would be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft and then used appropriately for the next 5 years. If you could do that one game, why can't you be a consistent receiving target in every NFL game you play?
But sometimes, and you're asking this about Lagway as much as you're asking this about
it's the same deal.
Former Gator Kyle Pitts. But
yeah,
sometimes guys who can do it in one game can't do it in every game. And that's the problem. Like, that's the roulette spin you're talking about. And that's why we talked about Sorsby or Lagway. Sorsby did it every game.
I mean, I just don't understand that, because physical traits are physical traits, and Kyle Pitts is an alien.
And DJ Lagway's an alien. 6'3", 247 pounds, an arm that is better than...
Basically, what you're asking me is, would you rather have Kyle Pitts on your team, or would you rather have who's like David
the
Njoku?
Third tight end for the Rams, who scored 2 TDs yesterday?
Trying to think of just like a guy like that is consistent and catches 5 passes a game for 48 yards and can block well. Right. No, I'm taking Kyle Pitts. Like, give me that guy.
But and I think that's the thing. I think DJ Lagway will be catnip to certain coaches. Catnip. Like you.
And I'm not sorry about it. I'm never going to be sorry. But we watch this game. We talk about this game. It's all about excitement.
Well, now we got Lagway in the portal. Brendan Sorsby's in the portal. Lenora Sellers is not in the portal. Going back to South Carolina. Like this is about to get very interesting. Like all this news that keeps popping.
Brendan Sorsby is to me somebody who could wind up at a bigger school in the Power 5 that has a lot of good players around him and then be a Heisman finalist next year.
You mean like Texas Tech?
Yeah. Or it could be Texas Tech. It could be it could be Big Ten, SEC. I don't know what his market's going to command, but it's very easy to get lost in the fray. Cincinnati, he was very effective, very good. And, we had him on the show. Yeah. He got some moves too.
Yeah, you put him with some better receivers. It's going to be.
Yeah. It's like Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman, by the way. I know we haven't had a show.
And Sorsby already runs really well. So, yeah, I'm interested to see where that winds up. But this quarterback market's going to be wild. It is. And DJ Lagway, the biggest name in there now. Sam Levitt's probably the most accomplished guy in there now. It's interesting that DJ Lagway might be the biggest name, and he certainly was the highest rated recruit. But I think if you ask a lot of coaches, they'd be like, well, I know what I'm getting with Sam Levitt and Brendan Sorsby. So I think that's going to be the question. Because I think that's probably what John Summerall and Buster Faulkner said on that front, was we're not sure what we're going to get with you, and we want something that we're a little more certain of.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out. All right, Ari, it is time to pick some games. By the way, if you'd like to go to any of these college football playoff games, would you like to go to Norman and see Alabama play Oklahoma? Would you like to go to College Station and see Miami play Texas A&M? Go to Gametime, download the app, use the code STAPLES, and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. They have tickets for it all. I don't care how tough the ticket is to get. They have tickets on Gametime, and you'll be able to see exactly where you'd be sitting from the Gametime app. You also will see exactly what you pay. That price you see is the price you pay. They don't tack on a bunch of fees right there at the end. It's the price you pay. So download the Gametime app. Use the code STAPLES, $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Gametime. Ari, let's talk Alabama, Oklahoma. Let's talk Sooners and Tide. This is going to be a great game. Oklahoma now a 1-point underdog at home. That line has moved a little. It was a narrow line already. I believe it was Alabama by 1.5 for a lot of the time, but now Alabama by 1. So let's peel back the curtain on the show a little bit. We were going to be recording this show a little later on Monday originally because we thought Kalen DeBoer was going to get asked a very interesting question at his press conference at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. But on Sunday, Kalen DeBoer released a statement that put to rest what that question would have been about. So here's what that statement said. My family and I are very happy in Tuscaloosa and remain extremely grateful for the support of President Moeller, Greg Byrne, the board, and so many others. We have an incredible opportunity in front of us, so my sole focus is on Alabama football and our preparations to play Oklahoma in the college football playoff. I have not spoken and have no interest in speaking with anyone else about any other job. I am fully committed to this program and looking forward to continuing as the head football coach at the University of Alabama. Now, the ultra cynical among us immediately started posting the Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach quote. The mildly cynical, like myself, said, bet Kalen DeBoer is getting some more money or a sweeter deal, like better NIL or better staff pool, something. He's getting a sweeter deal. We may not find out about that immediately, but I bet we find out later that he got a sweeter deal so that he would not entertain the Michigan job. All right. I feel like this closes the door on Michigan and Kalen DeBoer. Do you think there's any wiggle room?
I don't know. I think it closes the door too.
I think so too. I think Kalen DeBoer's off the board here.
I have not spoken to and have no interest in speaking to. I thought was an interesting line in that. That didn't have to be written. I have not spoken and have no interest in speaking with anyone. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't have to write that, or that didn't have to be part of the statement.
Kenny Dillingham did a press conference over the weekend. I think it was on Saturday, and he was asked about the Arizona State job. He actually got choked up talking about it. But at no point did he say anything that definitive.
Yeah. I mean, being choked up, I thought was more, he could leave than that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Kenny could be emotional about the opportunity that he has to coach at the school he grew up being around. I understand how that can make somebody emotional, but people tend to get emotional when they're leaving or considering leaving. So again, complete speculation on my part, but the thing that I just don't know. And, you and I had talked about this over the weekend, but like, why is Kalen DeBoer's name constantly coming up for other jobs that I would consider to be worse than Alabama?
Because there's nobody else that anybody feels is qualified. And I guess you can sort of gin up the idea that the Alabama fans are mad because he didn't immediately produce results exactly like Nick Saban. But I think if you look, and this is what I've told people, because normally I'm not a give a coach a new deal every time he has a little leverage. But in this case, like, give me your Alabama hot board if Kalen DeBoer left. There isn't one.
Yeah. Are Alabama fans appreciative of him or like happy that he's their coach?
I think they are. I think if we ask them Friday night, they may have a different answer, and how this game goes may determine that. But I think with Alabama's administration, with the more rational among the Alabama fan base, they are happy with him. They expect him to be their coach for a long time. They would like him to be their coach for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know that I agree with you. Like, and again, I don't know every Alabama fan out there, and sometimes I can get a read on things.
Are you related to any? Because I am.
I am not related to any, no, but there's like 3 that live in my neighborhood, and one is my wife's boss, and another is like my best friend here.
Okay.
I'm like surrounded by a bunch of Alabama fans. And I don't, and again, that's a small sample size of millions of people, but like, they weren't like, oh my God, we can't lose him. Like, I don't know that I see a lot of that on Twitter. And I don't know if that's just a spoiled fan base that is used to winning the national championship every other year, or a fan base that isn't 100% bought in on what they're doing there. And like, I don't know which one it is. So
I think it's a spoiled fan base that's used to win the national title every year. And I also think he's not Nick Saban. He's very different personality wise from Nick Saban. So I think I'm not talking about the Alabama fans here. I'm talking about everybody else assumes because he's not exactly like Nick Saban. Oh, he must not like it there, or his family must hate it there. He must be wanting to go somewhere else.
Like, I don't know why his name keeps getting brought up. Not because
that's why,
but a terrible job. But also, you don't really see a lot of coaches get brought up when they're at a place like Bama, because it's like, why would anybody leave Bama for Michigan? Like, right. I know Michigan's
it's not
a top 5 job,
it's
but like,
parallel at best, and maybe a downgrade.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason why you would consider that is if there's a sort of resentment internally from himself, that, hey, we're in the playoff and people are pissed. Like, what do you want from me type of a deal? And I don't know that wouldn't really.
I don't think that's it. I think the more likely personality trait that is at play here is Kalen DeBoer going, I can't leave because I don't want to be the guy who ran from the expectations of succeeding Nick Saban.
Yeah. And I don't think that the person who would sign up voluntarily to replace Nick Saban would be resentful of the bar. Like, that going in, right? So like, I don't know if I buy that, because it'd be like me taking a job at the New York Times to cover politics and then being pissed off when I don't have access to the DNC or something. I don't know, whatever. That was a terrible, terrible analogy. But like, you get it. You get what I'm saying, man. Like, you don't just like get into year 2 and just be like, oh yeah, I voluntarily came to Alabama to replace the greatest coach of all time. I know these fans are insane. They're going to love me if I lose 4 games. And it doesn't make sense. So like, the idea of him going there just never made sense to me in general. The only thing that made sense to me, Andy, was that he and his very talented agent would use this and other similar rumors as a way to get a sweeter deal and sign an extension, which, Pete Nako's reported they're working on. So congratulations to them.
And I think that's what's going on. And I would do the same thing if I were Jimmy Sexton or Davis Horton, his CAA agents. I would do the same thing in their position. That's their job, and they're doing their job.
And if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I would want to do that too. And I don't even know if it's about a further. Obviously, a raise is always part of the equation for everybody, but I would do everything I could to like make it harder to fire me, because you know how how quickly things change there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if they go 8-4 next year? Then are you on the chopping block again? Like, this is all very.
What if they lose to Oklahoma on Friday? I mean, that's the thing about this. The opinions of the fans could change pretty dramatically and pretty quickly, and this is a big one. Right? Alabama, Oklahoma, 8-9 game. This is where this was the Tennessee Ohio State game last year. The national champion played in this game last year. I don't know that we got the national champion in this game this year, but we'll find out because the winner will play the 1 seed Indiana. But this feels like a pick'em. They essentially played a pick'em in Tuscaloosa earlier this year. Oklahoma won 23-21. Alabama missed a field goal at the end of the first half that would have changed everything. Oklahoma had a pick 6. That was a very, huge play in the game. Neither offense was particularly great. Alabama couldn't run the ball. I mentioned the Josh Cuevas thing last week where the tight end Josh Cuevas should be back. The running back Jam Miller should be back. Both those guys played in this game, and Alabama still lost. So the question is, which of these teams is going to have an offense show up in this game? Like, can Alabama run the ball against Oklahoma suddenly? I don't know if that's going to change. They had most of the players that they're getting back now on the field in that game. Now, they may have been a little banged up, but that's my question. And Ty Simpson looked really banged up by the end of that Georgia game.
Yeah. Now, these guys are young and in peak condition, and I think that like getting a whole week off is a long time for these guys to get ready.
And they got 3 weeks off. So Alabama had 2 and Oklahoma had 3.
Yeah. I picked Oklahoma in the bracket that I released online like 10 minutes after the bracket was revealed. And like, I'm having a pretty big second thoughts about that, Andy. The first game was a slog. I think the second game is going to be a slog, but are they going to do it twice and for the third time in a row? Like, it's like a really hard.
Kalen DeBoer is 0-2 as Alabama's coach against Oklahoma, by the way.
Yeah. And that all happened within the last 14 months. So it's not like, we're using 3 years of data. It's last year and this year. Now, Oklahoma's home and their defense is nasty. And the last that we saw of Alabama's offense was not very good. I'm also kind of confused by the complete disappearance of Ryan Williams as an explosive playmaker. Like, I don't know what's going on there. But I'm having a hard time like saying, yeah, Oklahoma's going to win. So where are you at with this?
Well, I think if Alabama can run the ball, they'll win. But again, like I just said, they had all those players when they played Oklahoma and they couldn't run the ball. I think they averaged 3.2 yards a carry or something like it. Was not good. So I'm sorry, they averaged 2.4 yards a carry. So very bad. Plus, you have an Oklahoma defense that gets after the quarterback as well as anybody. I rewatched that game last week. So many free runners coming at Ty Simpson. Mm-hmm. And it's not one of those situations where Alabama is being physically manhandled up front. It's one of those situations where Brent Venables is calling it really well, where he is scheming open. Because like, people don't think about it this way, but as a defensive coordinator, you can scheme open rushers just like you can scheme open receivers. Mm-hmm. And Brent Venables is really good at that. Simulated pressures, moving people around, doing things where you have a guy running straight at the quarterback who the offensive line, it's not that they can't block him, it's that they don't communicate well enough to block him. And so Ty Simpson has to be, or sometimes you just have more rushers than they have blockers. And when that happens, Ty Simpson has to know there's a guy he can check it down to or dump it off to. And usually he does. But that's the question. By the way, before we go any further with this, Ari, I do want to point out, Kalen DeBoer needs a new hoodie. The black hoodie of death has to be retired after that ass kicking they took in the SEC championship. So I would recommend that Kalen DeBoer get the Rhoback Hezzy hoodie. See the Rhoback Alabama Hezzy hoodie right there on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. That's a beautiful garment right there. I'm wearing the navy blue no team logo version of that right now. It is one of the most comfortable garments you'll ever wear. I guarantee if Kalen DeBoer wore that, they'd win. I don't know if he's contractually allowed to, but you know what? As a fan, you can and you should, because it's cooler than that other company's versions. So get the black hoodie of life, Alabama fans. Also, Oklahoma fans, Rhoback's got a ton of stuff for you. I just got a care package in the mail from Rhoback, Ari, and I got to tell you, they got some pretty amazing stuff. I got the shacket, the shirt jacket with the snap front buttons. It's amazing,
man.
It's
Yeah,
so cool.
I got a pretty big care package from them too, and I'm excited to dig into that, because they have some of the softest fabric ever, Andy, but they also have such a nice variety of different styles too. So whatever you like to wear, they'll probably have what you like. So go check out their website for sure.
Yeah, Rhoback.com, RHOBACK. Use the code Andy for 20% off your first order. That's Rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com, code Andy, ANDY, for 20% off your first order. Even if Kalen DeBoer can't wear that black hoodie, you wear that black hoodie, and maybe you cheer Alabama on to victory with it, or you get the Sooners version. All right, Ari, let's pick this game. We have to decide. We've talked about Alabama's offense. Let's talk about Oklahoma's offense. This is not an offense that inspires confidence. Like of the offenses in the college football playoff from the power conferences, we're probably leaving Tulane and James Madison out of this. But of the offenses from the power conference teams in the college football playoff, Oklahoma's probably inspires the least confidence, right?
I mean, I feel like Oklahoma and Alabama are very similar recently.
It does feel that way.
I mean, I don't know. We watched Alabama's last few games, and it hasn't been a pretty sight either. So, but yes, I think that you could probably say it does. Although they do have a pretty uncanny way of like breaking loose Isaiah Satania and just having 75-yard touchdown passes to him wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that happens, like coverage busts that have like kind of inflated the numbers a little bit. But yeah, I think that I would have a hard time with either of these offenses thinking that this is a team that can go drop 28 points, 31 points.
Yeah, you know who also doesn't run the ball real well? Oklahoma.
Yeah.
In the Alabama game, they averaged 2.6 yards a carry, 3.2 against Missouri, 2.7 against LSU. Like, they're not running the ball well either. So what you're going to have is, how do John Mateer and Ty Simpson handle pressure, and who's got the better receiving core, and whose defense can make a play that changes the momentum?
Who has the better receiving
that's what happened
core
in the first game.
Did you hear me?
No.
Who has the better receiving core?
Alabama.
Okay. Do you know the last time Ryan Williams had more than 50 yards in a game?
It was a long time ago. Tennessee game?
October 25th, South Carolina.
South Carolina game. So right after that.
Yep. So he had 3 games. He hasn't had a game that I can see in his stats here. There's
Jeremy Bernard's the best receiver on the field. Isaiah Satania is number 2.
Right. And I didn't know if there was a debate about who was number 1 there.
I would entertain that debate. I would. Yeah. I think it's Bernard, but if you wanted to make a case for Satania, I'm okay with that.
And then Deion Burks has flashed potential, but so has Ryan Williams. So I don't know.
Ryan Williams. So you got those two. Then it comes down to like the Isaiah Horton, Latsier Brooks, Josh Cuevas piece of it for Alabama.
So are you leaning towards Alabama after what the conversation you led last week about, getting Cuevas back? And
I'm picking Alabama in this game, Ari. I'm telling you right now, I'm picking Alabama.
I'm going to just stick with my gut. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma at home with that defense. I think they'll figure out a way in 3 weeks off to scheme up some plays. I like the receiving core enough. Is John Mateer your second choice of quarterbacks, or is that another heated debate in this game? You love Simpson, so maybe I'm just
but Simpson has not been great the last few weeks, and Simpson Simpson looked very hurt against Georgia.
Is Steven Shin coming to the game?
I don't know. I think Matthias okay.
Well, I mean, it's just his presence, like the way that he walks into that stadium, I think changes the tenor of the fan base. I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think it makes sense for us to be on opposite sides in a 1-point game. And we'll see what happens.
All right. Now, you and I will be leaving Norman, driving south down I-35.
Psychopathic plan, dude. I don't know if you actually thought this through. This is a psycho move on our part. I would rather do it with nobody else, but this isn't normal behavior.
Listen, the gas station stops are going to be tremendous.
Do we even look and see if there was a flight from Oklahoma City to Houston?
That would be stupid.
Would it be stupid?
Much faster drive.
It would? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, once you go to the airport, get the rental car, drive to college. Just drive from Norman to College Station.
Okay.
We're going to make this happen. All right. Texas A&M hosting Miami. No one doubted that Texas A&M belongs in the college football playoff. Miami, of course, was the subject of very intense debate. And yet, it's a 3.5-point spread. The Aggies are favored by 3.5 at home, which means on a neutral field, this would probably be a pick'em. So the question is, which Miami are we getting? Are we getting the Miami that improved throughout November, or the Miami that dropped games to Louisville and SMU? Which A&M are we getting? The one that looked amazing for most of the season, or the one that got way down against South Carolina, had to come back? The one that lost to Texas at the end of the year? Which version of these teams are we getting? So, Ari, we need to know which version of these teams we're going to see. I do want to point out, because we talked a lot about Miami as the week progressed, championship week, as they tried to politic to get into this thing. One of the points that Mario Cristobal continued to make was that Miami got a lot better as November went on. And one person who had a great November was Carson Beck. He was spectacular in the last 4 games. Now, the last 4 games were against Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pittsburgh. Very different than the competition he'll be facing in College Station. So, against an elite defense, can Carson Beck do what he was doing? Because he was carving up teams in November, averaging, over 10 yards per attempt. Very efficient. His lowest completion percentage in the month of November was 75.
That's pretty good, wouldn't you say? So this is
Can
really
you do it with
hard
Cassius Howell chasing you?
I don't know. What I do know is this is a very hard game for me to pick, because these are my 2 babies, because I'm a huge A&M homer and a huge Miami homer. And I cannot wait to get there. The question to me that we have to kind of decipher is, how good do you actually think A&M is, or do you think that a byproduct of A&M's success this year was an incredibly advantageous SEC path? And then on top of that,
good question.
You also have to decide whether or not you think that Carson Beck is going to continue that ascension, because what are the 2 games that Miami's lost have in common? He played terribly in both games. And that interception situation could rear its ugly head at the worst possible time in one of the toughest road environments in the entire sport.
Yeah.
Very
the
difficult
stadium
game
will be shaking. There's a reason when the college football game came back, they made Kyle Field the number 1 toughest stadium to play in. I don't think it was this year, but I will tell you from playing the game, at least, the Stadium Pulse rocks there. And in real life, it certainly does, because this will be the loudest environment by far that Miami's had to play in this season.
Yeah, I just really like the way Miami is built, Andy. I love their front 7 on defense. Malachi Toney is turning into be one of the best receivers in the entire sport as a true freshman. Carson Beck is playing well. I think I'm going to take points here, man.
Can we talk about how much I love this receiver matchup, by the way?
Sure.
Because I agree with you that Malachi Toney is special and is going to be one of the best players in college football going forward. But what Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver have done at Texas A&M has been nothing short of spectacular. Now, Colin Klein, their offensive coordinator, who's leaving to become the head coach at his alma mater, Kansas State, has done a phenomenal job with them and Marcel Reed, building an offense around what they do really well. But I agree. The big play potential in this game, because that's the thing. Yeah. Either way, you've got 2 defenses that are great at getting after the quarterback. Because we mentioned Howell. We didn't mention Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor, who for Miami, excellent at pursuing the opposing quarterback. So you have, this is going to be a game of huge plays going both directions. You have huge negative plays caused by these great pass rushers. You have huge positive plays caused by Malachi Toney, caused by Mario Craver, caused by Casey Concepcion. So you could see some massive swings. You know what this game could look like is the A&M's game at Notre Dame earlier this season, Ari.
Yeah, I think it could look like that. Andy, you know what I have been thinking? You made this comment about the Oklahoma-Alabama matchup last week of whoever wins this game could go on a real run. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel that way about this game.
I agree.
And I don't know, if either team is up to beating Ohio State, but if they do, especially if A&M wins and they're playing basically a home game in Dallas.
Anybody who can beat Ohio State can win the national championship.
Yeah. So, they have a pretty tough second round matchup, staring them in the face, whoever wins. But I think these are two very good teams who were undervalued throughout the entire season. I think that the entire Miami discourse with the Notre Dame playoff stuff completely overshadowed the fact that they're really, really good. Really, really good. So, I don't know. I thought this game would be closer than 3.5. And I think maybe if this were 2.5, I might think a little bit differently. But I'm going to just take the points between two teams that I think are evenly matched. And I actually think that this is the most compelling first round matchup of the entire slate.
I definitely think it is too. I think it is the one between two teams that, because I have a hard time making a case for Oklahoma or Alabama to win the national title. I feel like I can make a case for whoever wins this game to be able to beat Ohio State and win the national title. They'd have to beat Ohio State and they have to beat, Georgia or Ole Miss. Then they'd have to, it's going to be a rough road for anybody.
This is the toughest path for anybody starting at the first round, by the way.
Correct.
Then you probably get a nice little date with Georgia, or if Ole Miss beats Georgia, a nice date with them. That's a pretty rough.
But both these teams are built to play against teams like that.
I agree.
Both these teams are built on the lines of scrimmage to play against teams like that. And I think that's why we feel more confident in both of these teams in that situation. I'm also confident that no matter who you're rooting for, you need to crack a Modelo for this game, the official beer of the college football playoff. Grab yourself a Modelo. Stay game day ready all season long. Ari, got the Modelo Negra right here. My grocery store just started carrying Modelo Negra in cans. That's going to be huge for pool season. Huge. But no matter how you get your Modelo, it is always time for Modelo when there's football on, because nothing goes better with football than Modelo. Ari, who you got in this game?
I'm going to take the points. I think that this is a game that Texas A&M most certainly could win. I think that the spread should be closer. I know that there's a home field advantage at play here, and I know but 3.5 is more points than I thought Miami was getting, and I thought there was actually a chance that Miami would be slightly favored. Maybe that's just my stupid perception, but I really like the way that they're playing. I like what they bring to the table. Tough environment. Don't feel strongly about it, but I think I'm just going to take the points and close my eyes.
So interestingly enough, Carson Beck did play in the SEC, but has never played at Kyle Field. I did mention that Miami hasn't played in a stadium this loud. Carson Beck has. So it's not going to be new to him, but I do think it's going to be a very intimidating environment. I think Texas A&M is going to be ready. I think they're still smarting from that loss to Texas. I think the Aggies win and cover.
Yeah. And you know what I love about these picks, Andy, is we're on the same side, or different sides of all of them so far. And it's just that's why the first round is going to be awesome. So I'm super excited to get into the final two here.
I don't know if we're going to be on different sides of these.
Well, they're big spreads.
Let's go to Oxford, Mississippi. Tulane goes to Oxford as a 17.5-point underdog. Obviously, Tulane coach John Sumrall is the new Florida coach. He is coaching the Green Wave. Ole Miss had Lane Kiffin lead the Rebels through this season. He is the new LSU coach. He is not coaching the Rebels now. Pete Golding will be making his debut as the Ole Miss head coach in this game. these two teams played this season in this stadium, Ole Miss won 45-10. And it was an interesting game, Ari, because this was in a period. Remember, Ole Miss had just played Arkansas. Their defense had not looked particularly good in that game. And you kind of wondered, okay, is this team going to be one of those that scores 50 points but gives up 45 points every game? And they slapped Tulane down. Tulane could not do anything offensively. Ole Miss was up 23-3 when Tulane went on a drive and then got bogged down, and Ole Miss had a goal line stand to stuff them. But Ole Miss got up in this game 45-3. Like, there was never a chance that Tulane was in this game. So the question I have is, given that, and we've seen Ole Miss's defense against offenses that are in the college football playoff, and they scored on them.
Mm-hmm.
But Tulane didn't. Is this just going to be a smothering like that first game?
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like we, as people in this position, like always want to just kind of like read the tea leaves of what's happening off the field, and is Ole Miss heartbroken because of the drama that happened? Is Tulane going to have a hard time given their coaches moving on to Florida? Like I understand like the thought process on this, but like on situations like this, Andy, sometimes like the analysis is they've played already. One team has way better players at every position. It's just probably going to be a blowout, right? Like, I don't know what would have to have changed. Is Ole Miss broken as a roster, or are they galvanized by the fact that the person that replaced Lane Kiffin is somebody from inside the building that wants to be there? Like,
well, and remember, Charlie Weiss Jr. and the offensive staff are back.
Yeah,
to run the offense. They're going to LSU at the end of this playoff run, but it's not like they have an entirely new offensive staff here. This is the same offensive staff minus Lane Kiffin, which obviously is a big loss. But one, you really only need Pete Golding's defense to do what it did the first time around to win this game.
Yeah, and you know, Andy, the college football playoff wouldn't be complete with a few blowouts, right? Like in the first round. And I
would really rather there not be any.
I would rather there not be either, but there's going to be, and I think this is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it's going to be pretty ugly, just because, again, we've seen Ole Miss's defense against some pretty good offenses, and they've been able to move the ball a little bit on the Rebels. Tulane couldn't move it at all. At all.
Right.
So this just may be a fast 320 beats your slower 280 situation.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
So I don't know. I'd love to give you more detailed analysis of this game. And you know what I would also love, Ari, if this wasn't a blowout, because I do think the one thing the college football playoff needs is one of these massive underdog teams to rise up and really and upset somebody. Like we almost had it with Arizona State, Texas last year, but that's different because that's a power conference team against a power conference team. The college football playoff will not ascend to everybody's favorite tournament until one of these underdogs wins a game. And I don't. Well, I mean, I don't see it with this matchup.
Be honest about this too, Andy, is like one of the number one talking points on the internet at the moment, and for the past 7 days has been, should the G5 even be included in this thing? And like, I don't know if it's an insult, but G5 teams can't and aren't assembled to play with teams like this. And like, I don't know where you stand on whether they should be included or not, but it would be very interesting to throw.
I say let's let them play a few times before we make that decision. Like they've been excluded the entirety pretty much. I mean, Cincinnati made it that one time, but that the system basically like excluded them.
You've given quite the burden to teams like Tulane and James Madison to perform in this situation, because the future of their inclusion in this sport could be hinging on
earn it. Like it's not a charity. You want to play in it, earn it. Like go beat these teams, or at least give them games. Be competitive. Like I'm sorry that you got to carry the banner for everybody else, but isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah. You know, but you know, there's certain things that you're physically capable of doing. Like for instance, you could probably go try to run a marathon. I would like to be included in the ability to run the marathon if I wanted to. Doesn't mean I'm going to show up at the race and do it. By the way, forgot about this, but I was bitching to you about this yesterday. What's it with the marathons in these cities and them closing down half the streets for the entire day on Sunday without
It's a big event, Ari. It's a big event.
Do you think I'm insane for thinking it's insane?
Yes.
It took me 31 minutes to get to a grocery store 2 miles away from my house because there was a marathon.
It's your fault for not knowing there was a marathon.
There's nothing I could have done otherwise.
You could have gone to the grocery store some other time.
I feel like, if you're running 26 miles, there's like ways to do it without it being in every major street in Dallas, Texas. But that's
okay. The whole point of the marathon. You do it in a prominent place.
Wild. It's wild times. I appreciate you guys want to exercise.
We're gonna need you to lose a running bet so I can make you run. I'm gonna turn you into a runner.
I agree that I need to run more and be in better shape. I still don't understand why they have to inconvenience everybody in the city that lives in so that they can exercise outside. And I live around a lake.
It's all about you. How dare you?
Me. It's not. See, that's about you. It wasn't about me yesterday.
Ari picked the game.
I did. Ole Miss minus 17.5.
I also will take Ole Miss to cover. I would love if Tulane would make this a game. Please make this a game, Tulane. Make it a game. Make it a game. Let's move to Eugene, Oregon. James Madison, your 12 seed, headed to face the 5 seed Oregon Ducks. The Ducks are 21.5-point favorites. Ari, news out of Eugene on Monday morning. Evan Stewart practicing. Wide receiver Evan Stewart practicing. Evan Stewart was supposed to be the Ducks' number 1 wide receiver this season. He got hurt in preseason camp. Or what did he get hurt in spring?
I think he got hurt
He's been hurt for a long time.
He's been hurt for a long time, yeah. I think it was the spring, actually.
It was the spring. That's right. Okay. So he's now practicing. There is a chance they could get him back during the college football playoff. I do not think they need him for this game. Because remember, we're talking about against the spread. We're saying Oregon's a 21.5-point favorite. Dan Lanning and the Ducks don't care about the spread. They just, as long as they win by 1, they're not worried about it. I don't think they need Evan Stewart to win by 1 or more in this game. But the fact that he might be back, and the fact that DeCorian Moore might be healthy now, that's their freshman receiver who was awesome, who was dinged up in the beginning of the, or in the latter part of the year. Kenyon Sadiq, obviously, they got him back and got a lot out of him toward the end of the season. Ari, if this is a team that is fully healthy, this is a potential national champion.
If this is a team that's fully healthy, this is a potential national champion. And they're laying 21.5 points against an overmatched team that may or may not deserve to be in this thing. But then again, we have people who get mad when we don't include everybody. I want to be nice. But this is, I've thought a lot about the Duke JMU thing. And it's so funny because like as the year goes on and you and Ari are like screaming at each other about the rankings and who should be ranked higher and who do you think would beat who? It's like, who do you think would give Oregon a better game? JMU or Duke?
Well, we litigated this already, but the committee decided it was JMU. So that's who's here.
They were wrong. I'm going to lay the 21.5. I don't really know what I can say from an analytical standpoint here that's going to change your mind on that.
Yeah, we need Wayne Knight to say hello, Newman. Actually, he would have said hello, Jerry. But
Andy
Wayne Knight, by the way, was the actor who played Newman on Seinfeld. Wayne Knight is the best running back at James Madison. He averaged 6.7 yards a carry. I don't think he'll average 6.7 yards a carry against Oregon's defense.
It's just like, I know that we want to give as much time to all the games, and we do care about all the games. We'll be watching every minute of this game like all the other ones. But if there are 44 total starters in this game, Oregon has 44 better players at all those positions. So if that's the case, what analysis can I provide outside of maybe something crazy will happen? Like, what's the 20-minute discussion about?
And again, maybe if something crazy happens, then it becomes an even more popular sporting event. But I just don't know that this is where the crazy happens, because Oregon is, again, if healthy, one of the 3 most talented teams in the tournament.
Yeah. And I'm going to stick to my theory, too, that Oregon, this season for Oregon is the inverse of last year. Under the radar during the regular season, makes a run in the playoff. Last year ran through the regular season as the wire-to-wire number 1 team in the country, got blown out in their first. I think it's going to be different this year. I think they're going to make a run. And I think it's going to be a pretty easy path on December 20th.
All right. I also will take Oregon to cover the 21.5. I would love this to be a closer game, but Ari's right. If we examine the rosters, that it's going to be 44-0. So it's going to take James Madison's best game. Obviously, we mentioned in the Ole Miss Tulane game, the head coaches and their moves. Bob Chesney, the James Madison coach, is headed to UCLA. The winner of this game is headed to the Orange Bowl to play Texas Tech. And we can talk about that after this game ends, but I will say, if Oregon, the heavy favorite, winds up winning, Oregon Texas Tech could be an absolute banger way to start your New Year's Day game watching, because that would be the first game New Year's Day.
Yeah. But I think that by and large, we have a really good first round. Maybe a G5 team will throw in something to, give us a little curveball, but I'm really looking forward to this weekend, and I'm happy that we're going to both games that have two G5 teams playing against each other. It's going to be great.
It's going to be fun. Those games in Norman and College Station, no idea what's going to happen. Cannot wait. We have a psycho travel plan. We'll see if that works out.
You're going to have to let me drive the car at some point. Probably. Make sure you subscribe to the On3 Sports YouTube page to never miss a show, because we got a lot of emergency shows. We had one earlier about Dylan Raiola. There may be more quarterbacks in the portal by the time we come on tomorrow. In fact, Ari, let's just make the decision, executive decision. We're going live tomorrow. We're doing it live. We're going to do it live.
3 p.m. Eastern time, live on Tuesday, because God knows how many more quarterbacks are going to hit the transfer portal. But we will talk to you then.